Welcome to Accounting High.
Not that long ago, people used to have to pay thousands of dollars worth of equipment to pay for somebody to create a commercial for them, and they had to pay for airtime to get on TV, to be heard. Now you get to create a commercial every single day if you want to, with broadcasting networks in our hand. It's the U channel.
But most people aren't comfortable with the U channel. They actually don't want to get in front of the camera. They may feel uncomfortable.
Welcome back, Accounting High. Now it's time for social studies. We'll teach you new creative ways to market old product. If you watch how they post, you'll see it's all authentic and genuine. Grow a following and don't get held back by perfection. Be intentional online, create content. Now that's hot. Strategy is key with social media and pods. Start slow, pick up platform, stick to it and go post. Make a plan to engage with client watering holes. Create a focus brand, be a lead online. It's a digital world with the best ROI. Now create your own ideal client persona. Let's go. Keyword Accounting High and get ready to blow. It's time for social studies, accounting content hub, LinkedIn marketing or X. So come join our social club. Is it Twitter? Is it X? Shit, now I can't keep up. So comment, follow, love if you into social studies.
Introducing the star of our show,
Scotty and Alyssa J. Dillon.
We're gonna have a problem here.
Class is in session.
Yeah.
We're in class today, so I wanted to introduce our faculty, our teacher, Miss Dillon. That's what we're going to call you today. Yeah. What's up, Alyssa? How you doing?
Good. Thanks for having me.
So how did you find Accounting High first for our students, for our listeners? How did you even know about this?
I stumbled across your profile when I was doing some research, and it was actually on X. And I was like, how do I not know who Scotty Scarano is? Like, how have we not been introduced before? He's so cool.
Well, we did have a great introduction. We had a first call and we talked about everything that you're doing, and it got me really amped up and excited. So students, you're in for a treat today because we're going to learn how Alyssa J. Dillon is building her empire right now. She's doing some wondrous things online, creating courses, building community, and teaching. You're a serial entrepreneur.
Yes.
So for our students, can you share with us how you got into this whole accounting thing? Why you're even in accounting in the first place? You can go as far back as high school, since that's where we are. Give us some context.
Yeah. I never thought I would get into accounting. I had no interest in it. There was accounting classes that were actually offered in high school for us, and I was like, no. I was an artist. I spent most of my time in the art room when I was in school. That was where I wanted to hang out. I was a big painter, drawer. That's where I jammed. And when I went into college, you had to take these placement exams, right? So they could figure out where you wanted to hang out, what type of math class you should be in. And the officer, whoever puts you in the classes, was like, man, you're really good at math. And I was like, yeah, I guess. And they're like, no, like you're really good at math. Like you scored in like the highest percentage of our students. And I was like, oh, cool. And so I ended up just being kind of a math whiz. And then I took a business 101 class, and Lauren Paisley was the professor's name. And Lauren was the business 101 professor, and she had to go away. She went on a trip to China, and my accounting professor came in, and that was Cheryl Cork. So shout out to Cheryl Cork. She came in and she taught about accounting, and I was like, man, I bet I could do that. I'm so good at math. I'm so good at numbers. I love numbers. It just makes sense. It's like universal information. It always adds up. It makes sense, right?
Yeah.
And so
you were predisposed to this whole finance thing. It was like the language that you could already speak.
It was a language I could already speak. I was like, oh, numbers. I can get down with this. So I immediately decided to take an accounting class, and it was something I think I needed for whatever I was doing in college at that point, which I don't really even know. And I switched my major almost immediately, became an accounting major, switched back and forth a little while, ended up getting my associate's degree in accounting, went on to change my major to be a psychology major. and hated
wow.
it. Hated it because, again, it was like a lot of theory. And I was like, oh no, I don't like all this theory stuff. I need something that's like,
Something that has a right answer.
I need a right answer. I need a right answer. I need things to balance. And so ended
there's
up
no
going,
ambiguity on a balance sheet unless it's poorly prepared. But.
Yeah, right. And so went back to accounting, ended up going to Rochester Institute of Technology, went to RIT, and dropped out with I have like 3 credits left. So I didn't even finish my bachelor's degree. And I dropped out because I took a CFO role. I didn't have time to take the class because it was Stats 2. I dropped out with a 110 average in Stats 2.
Oh, the irony.
Yeah. And so I was like, I don't have time to take this class. I took this CFO role. I'll come back and take it in the future.
Got drafted by the NBA. You couldn't finish.
Yeah. Yeah. And so took this CFO role that, they were like, oh, you're going to finish your education. I was like, yeah, I will. But like, can I take this and then I'll finish it later? That never happened. And then I ended up getting pregnant, having 2 kids in 1 year. Then I was like, well, I can't be a CFO anymore because I'm exhausted. I can't do all of the things. I can't be a good mom. I can't be a good CFO all at the same time. I was too tired, to spread too thin. And so I left my job as a CFO, started what became my Fractional CFO company after starting like a Mommy and Me fitness class first. That's that was my first like trip into entrepreneurship, was starting a Mommy and Me fitness class. Was really into fitness, realized entrepreneurship might be the way. I was like, ooh, I'm making some money teaching people things I love, which was like fitness.
Oh,
and
so that's when you started really teaching. That's when you got a taste of it.
That's when I got a taste. That was actually like first Facebook group, first taste of online world, online presence. So then from there, I was like, okay, let's try to sell some accounting services. Started making so much money that I definitely never went back to college. I was like, I'm not going to. It's probably never going to happen. So every once in a while, I'll have this like, what if I went back and finished my degree? And then I'm like, nah.
What would be the purpose, right? I mean, because
Right.
the whole reason in our minds was to get a degree.
Ego.
Maybe
That's it.
ego, yeah.
Yeah.
At first, it's eco, like economics. Like you want to
Yeah.
get a job, you want to get paid somewhere, you want to make money. So you finish your degree, so you get hired somewhere. People want to see where you went to college, that you graduated. At this point, you've been in the working world long enough.
Right.
Nobody's going to look at that anyway.
No.
Yeah. So it could be an ego thing.
Yeah.
But you're learning already through the school of CFO or Hard Knocks. You were actually doing it. So tell me how that progressed or how that continued.
Yeah. So started a Facebook group initially for this concept of creating community. I started a Facebook group for moms. Somebody said like, Alyssa, maybe you should create community for yourself. I know that you're not well connected. I had moved to a new place, had 2 kids. And so I created this new community for myself. And that was the first thing I did. Well, realizing that maybe I could replicate that same process, but for business. And so it was really just instinct. Well, what if I just did this, but for business? I started using Facebook to connect with business owners, started a Facebook group for business owners and leaders, right? I was like, industry leaders, business owners, I'm going to start talking about being profitable and being intentional with numbers. And so my first Facebook group was called The Profit Mindset, Building Businesses with Intention. Every week I was just starting to go live in there. And here's the thing, back when I started doing it, like no one was doing lives. No one was going, especially in the accounting space, like no one was doing what I was doing. Like it was such a crazy thing to have someone.
What year was this?
This would have been I started around 2017 doing this.
Yeah.
And so I was like getting tons of people, especially local to me, mechanics were watching my lives. And I was talking about like, here's the 6 deadly profit killers in your business, right? Like just these like fun little nuanced ways of talking about numbers and finance. And I was getting clients from this. And I wasn't just getting anybody. I wasn't just getting referrals. I was getting people who would book calls with me and they knew they wanted to work with me. They would say things like, I don't care how much it costs. I know I want to work with you. Like I've been watching your lives. You're so knowledgeable. You're so tuned in to exactly what I've been looking for. I had an accountant before. I had a tax guy before. I had somebody doing my bookkeeping. What I need is you. The stuff you talk about, like I need that. And so ultimately I was able to build a company with this fractional CFO mentorship coaching, not just getting the compliance work done, not just doing the taxes, but also supporting them as a partner in their company where they could see the places where they could be more profitable. They could make more money. It was like, hey, I saw that you're doing some marketing. What is your return on investment from that? And they're like, I don't know. And I was like, so should we keep doing it or should we look at the numbers at that? I was asking the questions most financial professionals just weren't asking them.
Because we're just looking at finishing the work, getting the work done and giving it back to them and showing them the work that we did.
Yeah.
Like,
right.
That's powerful though. When you're asking a business owner that goes beyond the scope of an accountant. And I don't think you were marketing yourself as an accountant.
No.
You know, it wasn't like you were a CPA, you weren't doing taxes or anything like that.
No.
So who were they hiring? When they hired Alyssa, what were you presenting yourself as?
Profit strategist.
Wow.
I was really calling myself a profit strategist. Like, my email sign off was like, Alyssa J. Dillon, your profit strategist. That's really what I was focused on, was profitability. And that was a big
kind of
piece.
Creating your own lane there.
Yeah, I really did. It was creating your own lane and really differentiating yourself in the online space, right? And that's so important. It's like, what am I really good at? Well, I was really good at figuring out how to keep a bottom line healthy. And that came from my nonprofit background. I mean, a lot of what I did was in nonprofit. It was working with tight margins and keeping my team lean. Knowing what I knew that if I could manage a $39 million budget for some of these larger companies, I know I could help a company that's making $1, $3, $5 million. I just have to ask them a couple questions every time I talk to them. It's like, pick out 3 things to ask them about their numbers.
I used to tell my team that all the time. Just pick any 3 things. It doesn't matter what they are. Yeah.
Pick out 3 things. Look at 3 big variances. Like from last month to this month, was there something that's like a big swing, 10%, 13%? And that's something I learned really early on in accounting in a leadership role. If it changed over 13%, notate it and find out why. Be curious. The more curious you are, the more you're going to be able to help your clients.
I love that. Keep the curiosity. Around this time, you're just building a practice, right? You're not talking to other accountants. You're just making some money now. This is
right.
You found your business. You've created a business. You're kind of creating your own lane. Did you also find profit first professionals around then too? Is that like, because they also talk about a lot of the similar things, and it's the same client base or similar?
Yeah. So around this time, I think Mike Michalowicz came into like my world. I started reading a lot of his books. What was crazy is somebody actually talked about me on Mike Michalowicz's podcast. I never actually was a profit first professional. Never joined his program, nothing. But somebody reached out to me and said, hey, somebody was talking about you on the Profit First podcast. And I was like, whoa, that's so crazy. So then I reached out to them. I was like, hey, just to let you know, I'm the Alyssa Dillon that's being talked about. And so then they invited me to be on their podcast because I was kind of making waves at this point. Like accountants were watching me, people were watching me. So I think you were probably familiar with, as you're growing a practice and you're growing rapidly, what happens is other accounting professionals, they're watching it. Like they're tuning in. They're like, you're going live on that? Let me watch, right? And I wasn't afraid of that. I wasn't like, oh no, don't come watch my live. Don't come watch what I'm doing. I was like, come on in. Maybe they want to learn from me, right? And so I was open to the abundance of like everyone learning from me. And so I was okay with it. I was okay with them joining my Facebook group. So I was making
you didn't
waves.
See any other accountant as competition?
No,
at all.
I literally, I think many of the posts, I still make it. I'll share it like every year when I see it. I made a post back in like 2017 that was like, I don't believe in competition. I hope we all succeed. And I still believe that today.
I think that's the general mindset today. I think people have been in this social world, social networks and everything long enough that they realize and understand there's plenty of clients to go around. You shouldn't feel that protective of your clients and your processes yourself. You should share everything you know with everybody you know, and it only benefits you. And you saw that early on. I mean, that's what I was doing in those days. I was listening to grow my GMAP, grow my accounting practice. I was listening to it every week. What kind of tips do they have? I probably heard you on there if you did go on and stuff around then. So that's pretty dope. So maybe I knew you before you knew me.
Yeah.
But you're finding this like teaching bug again, because how much can you really teach your clients? I guess, were you getting a lot of fulfillment from that, and were you growing that business? And tell me about the evolution there.
Yeah. So I think having the heart of a teacher was really where so much of my success came from. My clients would be like, you're not just an accounting professional to us. You're not just an accountant, a bookkeeper. And a lot of them didn't even really understand the role of like a CFO. So they didn't see me as that. They would really say like, you're our mentor. Like Alyssa's a mentor to us. Having that heart of a teacher was so natural to me then. That's where my clients didn't have a problem paying me high ticket either.
They were paying you for something else. They weren't paying you a bookkeeper.
No.
You weren't just a side bookkeeper that was helping them. This was something entirely different while you were also getting their books done.
Right. Exactly. It was positioned at a much higher level of...
what was the average prices you were charging?
So most of my clients were, I would say, anywhere between, like, lowest level was probably $750. On average, I would say most of my clients were in the $1,400 to $1,800 a month.
A month, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. You're doing something that's called advisory with them. You're advising them. You don't call it that. You're not going to call it something high tech and fancy. It's just profit strategist. It's simple, and they understand it. And you're also getting the book done. I'm sure some people just like considered that what you were doing, it's not a CFO, but it's somewhere in the range of an accountant bookkeeper that's also mentoring and coaching. So maybe you were like considered a coach to them as well too.
Yeah. So, the compliance work, getting the books done was a huge part of it. Like I needed to advise on something that was clean
books.
Right? I needed something that was clean. I needed to say like, this is what's going on, right? Read them the information. And some people really loved looking at that information. Other times when I would meet with these clients, they would have very specific questions. Other times it was, we really need to make more money. And I would say, okay, you need to make more money, but we really looking at this, I have this great example of like how I made a client cry because I was like, listen, it's not that you're not making money right now. It's that your cost of goods sold is so high that you guys are literally burning all of your money on fire right now. Like you're literally lighting on fire. Every time you make money, you're just spending it on COGS. And I was like, if you can get your COGS down. And so I actually made them like a cash flow forecast of like, this is what your year could look like. You could be this profitable and you could increase your revenue by this much if you just do like these 3 things. Get your COGS down by this, increase your marketing by this. And literally like my clients were crying. I said, this is your potential. Like you just have to do these things. And so having the skills I had.
But then they believed that was possible because you showed them it was possible.
Yeah, exactly. So that heart of a teacher, that mentorship that I had was so natural and it was empowering them to see it. And I think it's the differentiator. It's not to say there's not a lot of accountants that don't have that, but the ones that do, it's like, use it.
Here's what a lot of accountants do in those scenarios. A lot of accountants will look at that and say, oh, my clients don't know how to run a business. They should be doing this, and they don't do anything, and they're not making any money, and they're not paying us that much either. So a lot of accountants actually complain about their clients and talk about like they could be doing a lot better, but they just don't learn. They're just making the same mistakes again and again. We're not taking that active role to say, here, I want you to do better. I want to see you improve. And here's some of the things that I suggest, because we're also afraid of being wrong. A lot of accountants are afraid of giving the wrong advice, telling somebody to do something, letting them believe they could do it, and then they don't do it. And then you're sitting there like, they blame you or they resent you or something. That's could be a mindset. A lot of these mindsets are just what we're ingrained to do, what we've been taught, and what the profession teaches through actions. Like you look at most accountants, they're not like you. There are some like you out there, but they're not calling themselves accountants. They're something else. They're profit strategists, or they're coaches, or they're doing something else to elevate their clients, fractional CFOs or outsourced controllers. They're calling themselves something different than just an accountant. I want to hear more. What happened then? Did you start, how did you end up pivoting to teaching accountants?
Well, at one point, it got to a point where I was helping more people in the DMs. I was helping more accountants in my DMs with growing their businesses than I was talking to business owners with their accounting and profitability, right?
Really?
It was
Did you
like
hit a capacity issue? Like, did you grow enough at the firm too?
I don't think I hit a capacity issue. It was nothing like that. It just was such a natural like progression of people reaching out to me saying, "Hey, Alyssa, how did you do this? Hey, Alyssa, how did you grow so fast? Hey, Alyssa." And it was like, wow, people want to learn marketing from me. They want to know, well, what made you go live? Well, what made you start that Facebook group? Well, what made you post that? Well, what made you, right? And it was like all of these questions on like, well, how did you grow your audience? Well, so then I started actually doing some lives around that because I realized, well, shoot, they want to hear that, but I can't just keep messaging all these people.
Yeah. That's draining your time too.
Yeah. I was like, this is so crazy. And so I had this conversation with someone who was a friend at the time, and we were at a coffee shop. And I said, I think one day, I might actually want to teach people marketing because I really love it. I really love the client acquisition process. Like, and I'm really good at it. Like, I love this. Like, marketing it seems so natural. And I think because there is a level of like creativity that I loved. Like I said, when we first got this started, I was talking about how I was an artist, right? Like I am such a creative. I'm such a visionary. So it was something that just felt so natural to be created and be in creation mode. And I think I realized, holy crap, like I really love marketing and I really love sales. And I also really love that I still got to use the accounting side of who I was, the accounting brain, because I was like digging into the numbers. Like I was like, okay, so if I make 10 posts and 10 posts equal, and I do a live, and every time I do a live, I get a client. And if I make 10 posts, I'll get a client. And so I was like digging into the numbers of like, so we collapse time and we could actually get 3 clients in a week if we do. Like I was crazy about it. And I still have these same systems, by the way. Like I'm so crazy about the numbers and the marketing and just like making things work for us. And so I said to this girl at the coffee shop, I was like, I think one day I'm going to teach marketing. I think I am. And I said, when I get my business here and I accomplish this and I do this, and I had this laundry list of things that I thought I had to do in order to teach marketing. And she said, wow, that seems like a lot of steps in order to do something that you just sounded so excited about. And I was like, yeah, I know, but and it was like this imposter syndrome, right? I was like, but who am I to teach people marketing when I really am just learning it over this like last year and a half? And she's like, you're already teaching people how to do marketing every day. Like you're literally teaching people this every day. Like
you needed to believe that yourself though. You needed to hear her say that back to you.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And so it was not long after that I was like, I wonder if I could just do this. Like, and so it was probably about 6 months later, I kind of really started thinking about it and I was juggling both. And then maybe within a year of that conversation, I just went all in. And so by the end, early 2019, I told my clients from the accounting firm that I was going to start focusing on like being in the business coaching space, which they were very supportive of. They're like, that's so natural for you. It totally makes sense. But here's the thing. I didn't think I'd be coaching accountants. I thought that I would be coaching business owners.
Teaching all of them marketing. Yeah.
Yeah. And then when I opened the doors, the 90% of people who actually signed up to work with me, it was all accountants. So I was like, oh, okay, this is like, talk about imposter syndrome. Failed accountant, didn't even finish my bachelor's degree. Like, sure, I had my associate's degree. Still to this day, like CPAs, I was like, I don't have my CPA license. Like, am I qualified to teach you marketing? And it's like, wait, of course I am. Of course I'm qualified.
You're
like, I'm not teaching
qualified.
you. Yeah. I'm not teaching you how to be an accountant and get your CPA license. I'm teaching you how to grow your firm with marketing, which I happen to do really, really well by talking about non-accounting things, because really nobody really wants to hear about your CP license and accounting. They want to hear about the results. They want to hear about how you can help them and support them in their company and be a partner to them.
It's just a limiting belief that we have as accountants because we know we can solve these problems. These are the problems we're solving. So we want to talk about that. We want to talk about how well we reconcile this bank account and how well we can put all this together and how we can do a tax return. We do great tax returns because other people don't. That's what the stuff that we talk about as accountants. What you're doing is relating to the business owner. And now you're relating to the accountant in a different way as well, because something was resonated with them. And that's why when you open your doors, they're the ones who walked through because they saw something different in you. You were seeing some successes that they hadn't. They may have the education and they know better when it comes to the numbers. I mean, that was the thing that you were real good at anyway. You took that for granted, breezed through all the numbers stuff and started to really always want to challenge yourself and focus on the harder things that were ambiguous, like marketing. There's no right answers in marketing. And you're having fun doing that too. Yeah. You know, these things that aren't science and that don't have a right answer are more challenging, but they're more fulfilling too if you can crack the code and you can figure that out. Yeah. And you've done that. And now you're helping translate that to the people that can speak numbers, but maybe can't speak the marketing. So that's where I want to start to have you help our students here because they are accountants. And let's teach some basics of this. Like, where do you start then when you start talking about marketing for some accountants? Like, where are their limiting beliefs, let's say, or where do they give you the most pushback?
Oh, man. Being visible in general, right? Like the idea of not wanting to be visible. And here's the thing. I always say, like, you shouldn't try to convince people to want to work with you. Right. And so I'm not here to convince you that you should be the face of your company. I'm not here to convince you that you should be online or be on social media. So if you are listening to this and you're like, absolutely not, then fine. This is for the people who do want to, right? If you are in a space of like, you know what? Yeah, I have realized that social media is literally the ability to have a broadcasting network in my hand. It is this powerful platform. Keep in mind that not that long ago, people used to have to pay thousands of dollars. They had to use thousands of dollars worth of equipment, and they had to pay for somebody to create a commercial for them, and they had to pay for airtime to get on TV, to be heard. Now you get to create a commercial every single day if you want to. You have something at your fingertips, literally right now, to be visible and get to your ideal client right now, right? So take advantage of what you have access to. That's like the first thing, right? Like think of it from the perspective of like how grateful we are to be living in 2024 with broadcasting networks in our hand. Like you get to create your own channel right now. That's like, it's the you channel, right?
Right. But most people aren't comfortable with that anyway. They don't want to be the you channel. They actually don't want to get in front of the camera. They may feel uncomfortable getting in front of the camera. A lot of these accountants are the ones with the knowledge. They're the smartest ones in their firm. They're the ones solving all the problems for their clients, but they don't want to get in front of a camera and have to talk about that. They just want to talk about the books and all of these things. So how do you get them to actually get in front of a camera and talk about themselves?
Yeah, I don't. Just like I wouldn't tell you to convince somebody to hire an accountant that doesn't see the value in working with an accountant. I'm not going to convince you. You should be online if you don't want to.
Ah, so they're coming to you and they already want to do this.
You got to want to do it.
Yeah, they've already made the decision. They do want to do that, but they want to get over whatever other invisible fears that they have or that's been stopping them. Everything they put up, like you did, you put up a lot of blocks along the way to become this coach and this teacher because you thought you had to achieve all of these other things first.
Yes.
I think that's a lot of people have that. What are some of the things, some of the reasons why they can't? Are they too busy?
Yeah. So usually it's I'm too busy or I don't know what to talk about, right? Like I want to do this, but I have too many other things going on or I don't know what to talk about. But so important to know, like, if you just don't want to, you don't have to. There is so many other ways to grow your business. You don't have to do it online. So hopefully that breathes some like, oh, okay, like you don't have to. Do I think it's one of the best ways? Absolutely. But you don't have to.
This is one of the things could be a problem with that is you create yourself as the bottleneck for the leads. So if you are the reason, and if it's around your personal brand and people are coming to work with you, just like they are with you, right? They're coming because they already know they want to work with Alyssa. They have already decided, you were seeing this with clients, they already made up their mind to work with you. So how do you scale beyond that? When they put themselves out there and everybody wants to work with this accountant now, this person, they've built a business around that. How do they step aside and do that afterwards?
Yeah, that's a great question. So the best way to do this is you transfer authority to your team. So you do interviews with your team. You have your team start doing this with you. You talk about your company as a we all the time from the very beginning. It's like, we, at our company, we do this. This is my team members. So you transfer authority. This is something that I've done from the very beginning. When you start working with us as in my company currently as it stands, a marketing and mindset company, right? You come into our container. I'm not facilitating every single thing that happens. I absolutely could not do it, but I've transferred authority. You're going to work with Alexis. You're going to work with Britt. You're going to work with Johanna. You're going to work with Arwa, right? I've transferred authority to these other amazing humans because I say things like, they're the ones who do this. They have the skills to do this. They've helped build this, right? That's your job, to facilitate that very early and through your brand, right? So we do this with our clients where we basically say, like, you should do a team photo shoot. Those photos should be used in your branding. It's not just about you. It's a we, right? So these are things that you can do.
The smartest investment I ever was hire a professional photographer, makeup and everything for the team. And we did all this fun photo shoot with everybody. And that's what clients go to. The first place they go is the team page. Yep. That's where everybody goes, and they get to hover over and see how much fun everybody has. Like, one picture is a straight one, one's a fun one, right? Like, doing different things to inject life into everybody on the team so people are excited to work with them too. That's probably key. When creating this personal brand, do you suggest that they're putting themselves out there as the expert, as like or is it like you're talking about the firm or the business?
Yeah. So if they have a special skill set in your team, it's like, I'll use Britt on my team, for example. She does all of our branding. So I've recently had her do a live in our Facebook group that was like, hey, I'm Britt. I'm on Alyssa's team. Today, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do branding audits on some websites of our clients. They've already given me permission because I want to show you guys exactly how you can elevate your brand to attract higher level clients. So she's showing you in real time. She's the expert. She's like, this is the type of care we take for our clients that are in our containers. This is how we support you. I'm in this program. I'm helping our clients with this. You can get more of this when you work with us, right? As a team.
What about when those people get ambitious and they want to start their own thing?
Amazing. I would be so proud of her.
So those are usually your best employees while they're there with you until they've outgrown you. Is that usually what happens? Is they evolve?
In my opinion, if you've built your company to a place where they can grow with you, they won't leave. I currently don't have anyone on my team that I see outgrowing me because we're growing at such a rapid rate that they're so excited for the growth that they can experience with us, right?
So sometimes it's the growth that keeps them hungry. So it keeps the ambitious ones hungry, but then there's also the team members that tend to feel disrupted by the growth, and they like things stable and still. I've experienced that a lot with accountants too.
I've experienced that. Those people got to go. Oh,
really?
Yeah, they got to go.
You want to attract a high growth team.
Yeah, high growth. We're either growing or you're gone. You're growing with us or you're gone.
It's a reflection of your mindset then.
Mm-hmm. Yep. If you can't grow with us. So a really great example of this is I'm very much in the headspace of like, if I want to get to 10 million, it's be, do, have. Everything we produce needs to be produced at the level of a $10 million company. Let's act as if we are there currently. Do our systems look like a $10 million company? Is the way that we treat our clients right now like a client success department of a $10 million company? Do the funnels we have, does the marketing we have look like a $10 million company? If it doesn't, it needs to. If you don't know what that would or should look like, you better go do the research, right? If you're not producing at that level because you haven't been able to grow with me, because maybe you started with me when we were just a 500K company, right? And now we're trying to go to the next level and you're still stuck at 500K production, 500K. I'm still producing what we produced when we were doing 500K. And I've said, hey, does this look like a $10 million page? And it doesn't, then I'm going to say, you got to go. I'm very much like, it's be, do, have.
It's another mindset that you're doing. Everything that could be working could become a problem too. So you have to look at everything with a different lens. Where are you in your way to 10 million right now?
Well, we have been at a little over 1 million. We did 1.1 million, 1.3 million, and we're currently probably going to do like 1.5 million this year unless we see like a big jump in revenue. And a lot of that was like stagnation. And I think it was from getting the right team in place, truthfully. It's the who. The who.
I got stuck at 1.2 million for about 5-6 years as well. I can relate to that. I think that's where the owner is getting in the way and is creating a ceiling for everybody else. And that's where the owner has to start getting out of the way in order to continue to scale beyond that. Moneymaker is your brand from the beginning. You were helping people make more money and keep the money that they made in every which way, in every sense of the word. Now you're doing it with accountants too. You have created something that's also, there's a lot of passive revenue involved. You're selling courses and you're selling digital assets and other things that can scale beyond you in the lens of an accounting firm owner that's still providing professional services. They have to get out of the way. They are the problem in getting their business past 1.2 million. Once they can get out of the way and scale and create a marketing system that works without them, that will grow them to 10 million. They could sell digital assets too and become a figurehead for other things and make more money too. That's how firms grow to 1 million and they want to get to 10 million after that. That's the natural. You don't go from 1 million to say, my next big goal is getting 2 million. That's like,
no, you don't do that.
Big of a goal. You say 5 or 10, right?
Yeah,
typically.
Right. You do.
And you make that realistic for everybody to see. And you make that vision realistic for your team, the ones that are enacting that vision and keeping it alive. What do you suggest to a accounting firm owner that would be in this position? They put themselves out there as the speakerhead and now they can't get out of that. Do they put somebody else in place as that speakerhead? Do they have to keep being the face of the brand?
I think that if they want to be the face of the brand, they can. But here's what I think. There's levels of offers, right? So you have you have to get your offers in check in order to do this. Because as the accounting firm owner, you could literally show up to just do a live video and just do social media. And that could be all you do.
Mm-hmm.
That
and
could
it could be
literally
very fulfilling too.
Yeah, that could be
There's
all you do.
There's a lot of firm owners that just do that. Randy Crabtree, pretty much just doing that.
Right.
Jody Grunden, pretty much just doing that.
That's all you do. It's like all I do is just like show up and teach online and that's it. So if you have like your flagship offer, right, that maybe is just like compliance and tax, right? And you have a minimum on that. And so your team knows how to fulfill that. And then say you have an upsell offer for your clients who needs that extra thing. Maybe it's CFO, maybe it's tax strategy, right? And that's what we call like our upsell or our back end offer. It's what you sell to your clients who need the next thing. And then you would have a downsell offer or a splinter offer, right? So something that you would, when you get people on the call, you either downsell or splinter them when they're not ready for your flagship offer, right? And if your team knows how to fulfill on these 3 levels, then you're always selling on the call, no matter what, pretty much, right?
Well, you've created a sales system that works entirely without you too.
Yeah.
This is a Wild West out here. You're doing new things that are going to get you to 10 million and you're figuring out how to do this, but while still being the face of it too. You're the 24/7 sales team because you're on everywhere, right? Like how many, where can I go to find Alyssa J. Dillon? where would I find you? Where's most of your stuff?
The best place would be our Facebook group is a cool place to come hang out with us. It's Make Money, Not Excuses, 7-Figure Mindset and Marketing Strategies. I would say come hang out there. That's my favorite
the
place to hang out.
Where are you putting ads out, or where are you putting like content?
We're on Instagram, the Alyssa J Dillon. We're on Facebook. So our ads go to Facebook and Instagram.
Okay. Dope.
Yeah.
Dope.
It's all Alyssa J Dillon.
Yeah. Well, you're doing it in real time, in real life.
Yes.
And
yeah, I love it.
thank you for coming on. Thank you for spending time with our students today, Miss Dillon. Give me some parting advice, at least for our students.
Hire early, train your team, get a number 2, get somebody to help you fulfill the work so you can grow to your potential. You are not going to get where you want to go doing accounting work, but you will if you become the CEO. And CEOs, they're meant to drive revenue. They're meant to build relationships. They're meant to lead their organization. They're meant to hold the vision. They're not meant to sit behind their laptops and reconcile bank accounts. You need to hire somebody else to do that, because I'm pretty sure that my 8-year-old could do that. So actually, I know he can.
That is so true. Oh, yeah. Wow. Yeah. That's the stuff that you need to hire for first, or get out of first, in order to shift your mindset around working on the business. That's so important. Yeah.
Yep.
Hire and fire fast.
Don't hire fast, but hire fast.
Hire slow. Hire slow.
Hire
fire
slow,
fast.
but hire. Let's do this. Stop being scared. Go all in on your business. Stop acting like, you want to hire somebody, but everyone thinks if I hire the person, that's a $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 salary, whatever it's going to be to hire that first initial person. Maybe you're going to pay them $20, $25 an hour, right? You don't pay it all at one time. You pay once a week. It's a weekly paycheck, right? This isn't, you're not paying $30,000 the moment you sign them on, right? And so at the end of the day, get the person in place that you can start handing the work off of so you can focus on the growth of your company. If you truly want that company to grow, stop trying to do it on your own. I've never met a single CEO that has a company that's doing 7 figures that doesn't have a team behind them and doesn't have a great team behind them. They're leaders. They're driving an organization, and they will all say, I owe it to my team.
Yeah. And usually at the stage where you really do need to hire that person, your margins are usually good enough.
Right.
That you could withstand any kind of long-term drought that may happen after hiring somebody. If you're worried that your pipeline is going to get screwed up and you're going to have to pay this person out of pocket, it's probably not going to happen. You will fill all that work too. So yeah. I think that's usually a concern, is people are going to take a dip in their margins.
That's such a great point, Scotty, because I just kept this in mind from the very beginning. I got my first 2 clients. I charged them $350 a month. I brought in a bookkeeper, and I thought, okay, the most it should take this bookkeeper is 2 hours for each client. If I pay her $25 an hour, that's going to be $50 away from that client and $50 away from that client. That means I'll still make $600. It's as simple as that, right? It's as simple as saying, I'm
that's
still going to get
$600 you didn't have before.
Yeah, I'm still going to get $600, but I can focus on still growing the company and not have to do bookkeeping ever, literally ever, because I would probably have to gouge my eyes out.
Well, that's also why you're different than most of us. Most of us see that as, oh, I can do this. I'll just take this on. Because then I'll make more or whatever. These are the problems I ran into, especially early on.
Yeah.
I'll take it all on, and then I'll burden myself, and I'll overwork, and I'll resent everybody around me because I'm working too much, because I'm saying yes to everything. It was a problem.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we learned the hard way. Thank you for helping our students open our eyes and shift their minds, or open their minds a little bit. That's always something that I think a lot of us have a problem with, is we get in our own ways. So thanks for helping unveil that, just like you had your friend unveil it for you as well.
Yes. Well, thank you so much for having me here. This was a pleasure. And I look forward to hanging out with all of you a little more. And if anyone needs anything from me, feel free to reach out. I'm always available.
Alyssa J. Dillon. Peace out, homies. Class dismissed.